Hello guys, welcome to another episode of THP Tutorials. In today's video, we'll be looking at a practical question on maintenance and reliability, specifically product failure, right? And that's all under operations management. So here I have a question that goes: Robert Clarkson Manufacturing, a medical equipment manufacturer, subjected 100 heart pacemakers to 5,000 hours of testing. Halfway through the testing, 5 pacemakers failed. What was the failure rate in terms of the following? A. Percentage of failures. B. Number of failures per unit hour. And C. Number of failures per unit hour. Per unit year. Right. So the D says that if 1,000 people receive pacemaker implants, how many units can we expect to fail during the following year? So this is how it goes, right? Now, there's the setup here. Let me skip through. Yeah. So when we talk about the number of the percentage of failures, that's denoted by FR, right? FR over here. Now FR is also given by the number of failures all over the number of units tested times 100, right? Now the number of failures were 5 heart pacemakers, and then the number of units tested was what? The number of units tested were 10, 100 rather. So I just skipped ahead. That gives us 5% of the heart pacemakers failed, right? Because 5 over 100 times 100 is 5%, right? So moving on, skipping again. Now the number of failures per unit hour is denoted by FR of N, right? FR of N. And that formula goes like this, right? The number of failures over the number of unit hours of operating time, right? Now, the number of unit hours of operating time is not quite straightforward, right? So we need to further solve to get the exact number of units of operating time, because the operating time is different from the testing time, right? The testing time is how long the units were tested, but the operating time is how long each unit was so it's like the total of how long all the units were functioning, right? So we have to find out how long the failures lasted and subtract that from the total testing time to get our number of unit hours of operating time, right? So number of unit hours is given by, then we come here, then we say what? So like I was saying, the total testing time minus the total non-operating time, right? Now the total testing time is simply going to be the number of units tested times the number of hours they were tested for. Right here we had 100 pacemakers, right? 100 units were tested, and then the total testing time per each of the 100 was 5,000. So to get our total testing time, that will be 5,000 times 100. Right, that gives you 500,000 hours. Now we have to compute for the total non-operating time. Now in the question it said that what 5 of the pacemakers failed halfway through. So half of 5,000 is 2,500, right? So it means that each of those five failures fails for 2,500 hours. So to get the total failure time, that will be the number of units times the number of hours failed. So that will be 5 times 2,500. Right, so that's what you have over here. Right, so we have 5 times half, and the average of 5,000. That gives us the 5 times the 2,500, which gives us 12,500. Alright, right. So now moving on to the next. No, now we solve for the FR of n. Yeah, here we go. Right. Let me go back a little. So, well, we remember that in the formula over here, it's number of failures over number of unit hours of operating time. So now that we have the total testing time and then the total of the non-operating time due to the failure, which is the 12,500, we subtract, and that gives us 487,500 hours. Yeah, so now we compute for the FR of n. So that becomes 5 over the, right, that becomes 5 over the 487,500, which gives us this. When you try to break it down into a decimal, it becomes too long. So it's best to leave your answer like this. When you leave your answer as a fraction, it's very helpful when you're computing for your mean time between failures. So moving on to the next question. That was what? Number of failures per unit year, right? Now to get the number of failures per unit year, that's given by the number of hours in a year all over the mean time between failures, right? So how do we find for these things? For the number of hours in a year, it will be the number of hours in a day, which is 24, times the number of days in a year, which is 365, right? So that gives you 8,760 hours in a year. Now the mean time between failures is given by 1 over the FR of n, right? The number of failures per unit hour. So computing that just gives you, it's the reciprocal. So 1 over this is just this. So it becomes 97,500 hours, right? So it means that every 9,500 hours, a failure occurs. So now you are trying to, now you're computing for the number of failures per unit year. So that gives us 0.089 per year, right? Now for the last part of our question, right? We said that we are tasked to find out the number of failures we could expect in the following year if 1,000 units were issued, right? So we use the data that we already have. So we know that 100 pacemakers results in 5 failures. So 1,000 pacemakers result in what? X. Doing that, we then just cross multiply, right? And that gives us our answer as 50 failures. So you can expect 50 failures, right? So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.